أسعد الله أوقاتكم بكل خير مشاهدينا الكرام، وأهلا ومرحبا بكم في أمسية وليلة جديدة من ليالي الجوجيتسو. هذا البرنامج الذي يأتيكم تزامنا مع نسخة هي العاشرة من بطولة أبو ظبي العالمية لمحترفي الجوجيتسو، فأهلا ومرحبا بكم. نجدد التحية بكم مشاهدينا الكرام في هذه الأمسية المميزة من أمسيات وليالي الجوجيتسو. ودعوني مشاهدينا الكرام باسمكم جميعا أرحب بضيوفي في الاستديو، بداية من كليفرسون فيديلتس، من ذوي الاحتياجات، من أصحاب الهمم. أكيد نرحب بك في هذه الأمسية وسعيدين بوجودك معنا في هذا الاستديو.
شكرا جزيلا على توجيه الدعوة. أنا سعيد أيضا وفخور بأن أكون معكم هنا.
ايضا على الجانب الاخر سيرلي لو سيلفا، اكيد نمسي عليك بالخير وسعيدين بوجودك معنا في هذه الامسيه.
أنا سعيد أيضا بأن أكون مرة سنة أخرى هنا، والآن نتحدث عن الجوجيتسو والجوجيتسو الخاص.
ايضا رافائيل رودريغيز، اكيد سعيدين ايضا بوجودك معنا في هذا الاستوديو.
شكرا، أنا سعيد بأن أكون هنا، وهذه اللحظات أيضا أحبها، لأن الجوجيتسو لأصحاب الهمم مهم لي ولأصدقائي
بكل تأكيد. وأيضا للمتابعين متابعي شاشة أبو ظبي الرياضية، دعونا نتعرف على أبرز ملامح برنامج هذا اليوم الذي جاء حافلا بجملة من التفاصيل. دعونا نتابع ثم نستهل الحوار. انتهينا وإياكم مشاهدينا الكرام أبرز ملامح يوم هو الثامن من برنامج هذه البطولة في نسختها العاشرة. وللخوض في مزيد من تفاصيل برنامج هذا اليوم ينضم إلينا في هذه اللحظات الزميل الكريم الطرهوني. كريم مساء الخير. أكيد التفاصيل ومع اقتراب موعد نزالات الأسماء الكبيرة في بطولة أبو ظبي العالمية، البطولة مستمرة وعجلة الأحداث والمنافسات لا تزال مستمرة. كيف هي التفاصيل كانت في هذا اليوم؟
شكرا زميل محمد اسماعيل، تحياتي لك في الاستوديو. بداية تحياتي للسادة المشاهدين عبر قنوات أبو ظبي الرياضية. يوم حافل في مبادلة أرينا ومواصلة بطولة أبو ظبي العالمية للجوجيتسو. اليوم كان خاصا بالشباب والناشئين، بطولة العالم الخاصة بالبنين، وصراحة شاهدنا مباريات قوية، شاهدنا أيضا تنافس شيق على الميداليات وعلى منصات التتويج. معي بطل إماراتي واعد إن شاء الله سيكون له شأن كبير مثل والده سلطان إبراهيم الحوسني، ميدالية ذهبية اليوم، ومعي أيضا الوالد إبراهيم الحوسني. أبدأ مع سلطان، مبروك الفوز.
الله يبارك فيك
سلطان. ما شاء الله، يعني صورة الاكريديتيشن وانت صغير، واعتقد اليوم بداياتك حتى في الجوجيتسو، ما شاء الله اليوم انت بطل من ذهب.
صح.
شو شعورك؟
فرحان.
ايه. المباراة كانت صعبة اليوم؟
المباراة الأخيرة كانت شوي صعبة.
شو نصايح الوالد اليوم؟
لأنه هو اللي كان يشجعني كل مرة، هو اللي كان يقول لي النادي ينفعك أكثر من طلعات، أكثر من كل شيء كل مرة.
أتمنى لك مزيد من التوفيق سلطان. خليني ناخذ راي الوالد ابراهيم الحوسني. ابراهيم، مبارك لك فوز سلطان في مباراه اليوم. اعتقد انه كل اب يكون فخور بهذا الانجاز.
اكيد طبعا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الحمد لله والشكر. وطبعا هذه الميداليه مو حق ابراهيم الحوسني، الميداليه حق الدوله. يعني اهمي انا هذا همي، ان كيف نرفع الدوله في الميداليات، سواء كان لاعب من عندي ولا من اي نادي ثاني. فالفرحه الثانيه انه هو ولدي، اني افتخر فيه الحمد لله. وهذا انا اسميه الذخر، يعني اللي من بعدي انا. اذا انا وقفت عن الجيتسو ولا شيء، عندي واحد يكمل عني، وهو اللي يهتم في الجيتسو، وهو اللي يطور الجيتسو في الدوله. ففعلا انا من الحين اعلمه في اشياء، اعلمه عشان بس يطور من نفسه اكثر واكثر. فرحتي صراحه، يعني الميداليه احنا لما نتكلم، هي مو بس الميداليه، نتكلم السيناريو اللي كان قبل الميداليه بسنه، اللي هي السنه اللي طافت، هو جاب السنه اللي طافت بطل العالم. فالضغوطات اللي كان فيها والتمارين كان يتمرنها خلال السنه كامله لين اليوم هذا، فيعتبر يوم الحصاد، اليوم حقنا حصاد للدوله. انا وايد صراحه مستانس فيه، وهو جالس يلعب صراحه كانت فيني حرقه من بس الحمد لله الله وفقه الحمد لله.
ابراهيم، اجمالا كيف شفت اليوم مواجهات ومنافسات بطوله العالم للشباب والناشئين؟
صراحه كل سنه انا هاي رساله حق كل لاعب، انتبه على نفسك. كل سنه يجونك لعيبه اقوى ومتطورين اكثر، لان الجيتسو يا تطير الحين. طبعا هذا تحت دعم اتحاد الامارات الجيتسو في العالم كله. فانا اقول لك كل شخص اذا كان يلعب جيتسو، اذا كان هو بطل العالم، هذه الميداليه يفرح فيه اليوم ينساها. وراه شغل، وراه شغل لين السنه الجايه حزام اصفر، مسؤوليه، بدلت حزام انا، له عليه مسؤوليه اكبر، سواء كان هو سواء كان غيره. فاجتهد عشان تحصل السنه الجايه، فبيكون ضغط عليه عالي.
سمعت كلام الوالد، جاهز ان شاء الله؟
جاهز ان شاء الله.
قال لي يوم اعطيته حزام الاصفر، قال لي ان شاء الله السنه الجايه.
ان شاء الله مزيد من التطور. مبروك الميداليه والحزام، وان شاء الله مزيد من التقدم مره اخرى
ان شاء الله.
شكرا لك سلطان. شكرا لك ابراهيم.
شكرا جزاكم الله خير، والله يوفق الجميع ان شاء الله. حياكم
اعزائي المشاهدين. اذا زميل محمد الحوسني، مثل ما رصدنا لكم، يعني فرحة الأب والابن، المعلم والبطل الصغير، يعني بعد يوم كامل من منافسات الشباب والناشئين. كلام مهم قاله إبراهيم، كونه هؤلاء الأطفال الصغار، صحيح الميداليات ترفع من المعنويات حتى كبار السن، وتجعلهم يحلمون أكثر في عالم الجوجيتسو، لكن يجب الانتباه، يجب العمل أكثر فأكثر، لأن رياضة الجوجيتسو تطير كما تحدث إبراهيم الحوسني. يجب التحسب لذلك والاستعداد لكل الأسماء والأبطال التي تأتي دائما للتباري والتنافس هنا في أبو ظبي. محمد أحييك وأعود إليك إلى الاستوديو.
شكرا لك كريم الطاروني متحدثا من صالة مبادلة أرينا. أعود من جديد مشاهدينا الكرام إلى ضيوفي في الاستديو، بداية من كليفرسون. هذا اللقاء يمكن إبراهيم الحوسني مع ابنه، الأب والابن كلاهما يمارس رياضة الجوجيتسو، تأكيد على أن هذه الرياضة ليست حكرا على فئة معينة أو عمر معين، وإنما هي تمتد للجميع كبارا وصغارا.
نعم، الجوجيتسو أيضا بالنسبة ليس هناك أي حد في العمر، هو للجميع. هناك العديد من الأشياء نقوم بها إذا كنت تمارس الجوجيتسو، نساء، أطفال، رجال، ليس هناك حدود بالنسبة للتدرب.
أيضا على الجانب الآخر السيد سيلفا لوز سيلفا، الرياضة هذه دائما موعد مع موعد من بطولة، وسنة بعد سنة من بطولة أبو ظبي العالمية، تأكيد على استمرار التواصل بين شعوب العالم من شتى أرجاء المعمورة. اليوم نتابع ناس من أقصى الشرق في اليابان، وناس من البرازيل، من أمريكا، تأكيد على حرص دولة الإمارات على جمع شعوب العالم من مختلف قارات العالم.
تعلم بأنه إذا تسمح لي، أعتقد أننا هنا مباشرة في الإمارات. أريد أن أقول شيئا مميزا جدا، لأن سمو الشيخ محمد بن زايد ساعد هذه المنظومة مع أيضا موظفي الاتحاد الإماراتي الجوجيتسو منذ 3 سنوات. منذ بدأ مني أنا وماريو بدأنا نقاتل، والآن أصبحنا هنا 70 لاعبا من 16 بلدا ومن القارات الخمسة. شيء رائع جدا، لأننا هذا بالنسبة لي أخذنا جوجيتسو ذوي الاحتياجات الخاصة من الجوجيتسو تقريبا نفس القوانين، ولكن كنا نقول أن تخطينا حدود الرياضة، وصلنا إلى الصحة. أيضا الجوجيتسو أنقذ الحياة أيضا، وأعتقد بأقل من شهر ندخل في الألعاب البارالمبية بمساعدة اتحاد الإمارات. أعتقد أنه إذا كان واحدا يجب أن يعرف، وقد شاهدنا الطفل مع أبيه كان سعيدا، العائلة كلها سعيدة لأنه يمارس الجوجيتسو، والجوجيتسو يعلم هؤلاء الأطفال عدم الاستسلام، وهو أكثر هدية أيضا يمكن أن يقدمه لابنه أو ابنته، وأن يضع يتعلم الطفل يتعلم الجوجيتسو. وحول الجوجيتسو لذوي الاحتياجات الخاصة هو أيضا هناك إضافة، ربما هذا الطفل لديه سؤال عن إعاقته، ربما ذهنية أو بدنية، ونحن نعمل مع الاتحاد الإمارات للجوجيتسو حتى نبرهن عن الجوجيتسو ممكن أن يساعد وينقذ الحياة البشرية في كامل أنحاء العالم، في كامل القارات. نحن هناك العديد من الناس من اليابان، من استراليا، من منغوليا، من الامارات ايضا. نحن سعداء جدا من لاعبي الامارات ايضا، ونحن حققنا حلم فعلا، ومع دعم الاتحاد وسمو الشيخ محمد وباركه الرب وكل الناس في الامارات، لاننا نشعر ان عندما نصل هنا الى المطار صعب أن أشرح وأوصف ذلك. أنا أعيش في البرازيل مع ذوي الاحتياجات الخاصة، أعتقد أنهم يعاملون بطريقة مختلفة، ولكن هنا في الإمارات يمكن أن أقول أن الحب هو الذي يبدو صعب أن أشرح ذلك، لأنه مميز جدا. لأننا نقول أن بالنسبة لكل اللاعبين في المكان الذي يمكن أن تكون فيه لممارسة الجوجيتسو هنا في الإمارات.
السيد أيضا رافائيل رودريغيز، صف لي شعورك وأنت تتواجد في حدث بحجم بطولة أبو ظبي العالمية، وأنت منذ وصولك إلى أرض الوطن تواصل الأهالي السكان هنا في دولة الإمارات وتعاملهم مع الآخرين من المطار وصولا إلى البطولة وتفاصيل البطولة.
Good night.
مساء الخير.
It's very important for me
جدا بالنسبة لي أن أكون هنا، لأني أتدرب في الجوجيتسو في بلدي. كانت تدريبات صعبة جدا والاستعداد أيضا لهذه الفترة. الآن أنا أدخل إلى النزال وأنا أكون مركز.
I'm go to fight.
أواجه خصمي بقوة أكثر.
And I'm sorry.
أنا آسف.
I like this.
أحب ذلك، أحبها لأن الجوجيتسو وجوجيتسو أنقذ حياتي، وأنا سأنزل إلى البساط واستخدم فقط الأعضاء القوية التي حتى أفوز. أنا آسف لأني لا أتقن الإنجليزية، ولكن أنا سعيد جدا بأن أكون هنا، وهذه اللحظات مهمة جدا بالنسبة لي.
طيب دعني أعود لك سيد لوسيلفا. أيضا أمر في غاية الأهمية أن يستشعر أصحاب الهمم وأصحاب رياضة البارا أولمبية بأنه لا فارق بينهم وبين الأسوياء، ويتواجدون جنبا إلى جنب مع كل بطولة يتواجد فيها بقية الأبطال. وعلى العكس تماما، قد تكون رياضات البارا أولمبية في السنوات الأخيرة في كثير من الدول تحقق أكثر مما يحققه حتى الأسوياء.
Yes, and
نعم، أنه مميز جدا لأن اتحاد الإمارات للجوجيتسو أبو ظبي يستعد وفي التاريخ دخل تاريخ رياضة الجوجيتسو تتغير حاليا، واتحاد الإمارات للجوجيتسو يحذر لذلك، لأن الباراجوجيتسو هو منافسة منفصلة، لا أحد لا أي بلد آخر يقوم بذلك. أول من قام به اتحاد الإمارات للجوجيتسو، ونحن نقاتل مع مقاتلين عاديين، ليس لدينا أي مشكل، ولكن أعتقد أن هناك العديد من اللاعبين حول العالم لابد أن نبرهن للناس في كامل أنحاء العالم أن الباراجوجيتسو مميز جدا. في البرازيل أيضا بدأنا أن ندرس في الجامعات ما الباراجوجيتسو، وبالنسبة لأصحاب الاحتياجات الخاصة هناك في الجامعات يقومون بذلك، وأصبح هناك مستوى دكتوراه في ذلك، ونحن نستعد لنقدم هذا في إنجلترا لنتائج هذه الإحصائيات. وأعتقد بالنسبة للاعب الباراجوجيتسو لديه قوة التحمل ضعف أكثر من لاعب عادي، ولا إذا كان اللاعب الجوجيتسو قوي كيف تشعر ما هي قوة اللاعب الذي مثل الاحتياجات الخاصة، رجل أو امرأة أو طفل. وأعتقد أن عندما تدخل إلى النزال عندما أدخل إلى النزال ضد منافس أشعر عادي، ولكن أعتقد أنه خطير جدا بالنسبة لي أن أقاتل أو أصارع لاعب عادي، لأن في التدريبات وكل اللاعبين يعرفون أنه كل واحد بقدمين أو بيدين وبكل الحركاته قادر على التحرك، عارف ما هو المختلف، ولكن الباراجوجيتسو هذا مميز. نحن نتحدث هنا سيدي عن إرث الاتحاد الإمارات للجوجيتسو، أعطى هدية للعالم وهذا اسم هو الإرث لتكملة هذه الرياضة الخاصة. أعرف كان الجميع يعرفون هذا، ولكن عندما نتقابل في ساو باولو في اجتماع للجودو والباراجوجيتسو، نقول للجوجيتسو أن لديه 18 فئة، وفي الألعاب البارالمبية الرياضات التي لديها أكثر فئات هي السباحة و 16، ولكن نقول باراجوجيتسو في الإمارات لدينا 18 وهو أكثر. وأنهينا من نشرح ذلك إلى الدكاترة فقالوا هذا رائع، نعم أنه مكتمل، ولذلك التعاون يدخل، وهذا يقوم به الاتحاد الإمارات. وأيضا نقول أيضا أنه يعده سمو الشيخ محمد بن زايد.
ايضا سيد كليفرسون، الحديث حول التواجد في الاحداث والمنافسات دائما بالنسبه لكل لاعب شعور مختلف، خاصه مع اقتراب دخول الموعد الى البساط، فكيف ببطوله عالميه فيها هذا الحضور الكبير من المتابعين من المتفرجين، وايضا منقول على الهواء مباشره لدول كثيره في هذا العالم؟
هذا الحدث في أبو ظبي أنا أشعر أنه وأنا متأكد من أنه الأهم، وعندما نكون هنا بإمكاننا أن نرى كل الموظفين والمقاتلين من جميع أنحاء العالم هنا شيء رائع، هذا كأي مكان آخر. ونرى أن العديد من المصارعين ونتبادل الفنيات والأفكار، ونعرف ليس العديد يعرفون كل شيء على الباراجوجيتسو عندما تتصارع مع رياضي من بلد آخر، بإمكاننا أن نعرف ذلك، وهذا ليس له ثمن، ليس ما يقارن به، أن نكون في هذا حول العالم ويكون هذا الدعم، نأخذ هذا الدعم من اتحاد الإمارات للجوجيتسو شيء متميز جدا. ربما ليس هناك كلمة لأعبر عن الشعور وعن السعادة التي نشعر بها أن نكون هنا وكل هؤلاء الناس من حولنا. هذا فعلا عمل رائع جدا، وكما يقول أساتذتنا هو إرث الإمارات تقدم إرثا.
طيب، أيضا من المهم جدا وفي رسالة كبيرة تغيير نظرة البعض إلى أن أصحاب الهمم وذوي الاحتياجات الخاصة قد يكونون أقل قدرة من الأسوية، وفي المقابل أيضا الحدث مناسبة مهمة لهذه الفئة لإثبات الذات، ليعيش الجميع جنبا إلى جنب في حياة إيجابية مميزة. وأكيد أبو ظبي استطاعت ودولة الإمارات بشكل عام أن تأخذ بيد هذه الفئة لتعيش بدون أي فجوة ودون أي فوارق مع الأسوية.
نعم، سؤال ذكي، لأن عندما خسرت ساقي قلت سألت الطبيب ماذا سأفعل إذا الناس أو والدي نظر إلي بمرارة، ربما قال لي أن ربما سينظر إليك واحد في أول مرة بتلك، ولكن عليك أن تقدم له الجواب، والجواب ما هو أن تتقدم دائما ارفع رأسك وبرهن على أن لا شيء يتغير، والشيء الوحيد الذي يجب أن يتغير هو إذا أنت احتجت يمكنك أن تبرهن وتعود إلى المصارعة وتركض وتسبح، قم بما كنت تقوم به من قبل. عليك أن تستمر إلى الأمام، ليس هناك أي مشكل إذا لا تكون لديك قدم أو يد أو أي عضو آخر، ليس هناك مشكل. هذا الجزء من المحادثة مع طبيبي، قال أنه عليك أن تبرهن إلى الناس، لأن هناك ليس هناك أي إشكال أو أن كانت لك أي إعاقة، ولكن وهذا ما تقوم به الإمارات هنا، برهنوا للعالم بأجمعه بأن إذا كانت لك أي نوع من الإعاقة ليس هناك إشكال. نحن هنا ونصارع هناك العديد من لاعبي البارا أولمبيكس هنا موجودين حوالي 60، ونقوم بالذي نقوم به. نحن سعداء ونحن نتصارع هنا كما يقول أستاذنا أمام ناس لديهم ساقين ويدين، وليس هناك مشكل في نفس المستوى، وأحيانا مستوى عالي جدا أكثر، ولكن لأننا لسه فقط نريد أن نبرهن لأنفسنا وأي شيء، ولكن هو كيف هناك شجاعة. لدينا شجاعة ونقوم بما نقوم به لأننا نحبه، ولدينا طريقتنا في القيام بذلك، والطريقة هي أن نحصل على دعم مثل هذا التي تقدمه لدينا الإمارات، ونحن لدينا القلب لنتقدم ونؤمن بأن هذا ممكن كما يقول أستاذنا، لا شيء مستحيل. إذا كنت أستمر ارفع رأسك وتقدم إلى الأمام، هذه الطريقة. وهنا في هذا الحدث في هذه البطولة تبرهن لنا بطريقتنا، هذه هي الطريقة، هذا هو الطريق. والعديد من الناس لا يعلمون، ولكن 70% تكون لهم إعاقة ما. الكثير من الناس لا يحشون من هذه الإعاقات. نحن ربما تكون هنا إعاقة عندما نكبر في العمر، وهذه أي معلومة يجب أن يعرفها الجميع، أن صاحب أي إعاقة بإمكان أن يكون أي أحد صاحب إعاقة في وقت ما، لأن ذلك ليس مشكلا. هناك طريقة وحيدة أن تكون سعيدا.
جميل هذا الشعور، وأكيد الحرص سيد سيلفا دائما موجود على أن في ميدان الرياضة إحدى الميادين التي يثبت فيها الجميع بما فيهم أصحاب الهمم والاحتياجات الخاصة في إثبات الذات، والميدان ها هو منح للجميع وهو موجود لكل الفئات. وأتصور دولة الإمارات دائما حريصة أن تجمع بين الجميع، والميدان اليوم موجود لكم في إثبات الذات.
Yes, I think the first worries.
نعم، أعتقد أن القلق الأول هو عندما تكتشف الطريقة التي أنك ستكون ذا إعاقة. ليس سهلا ذلك تلك الفترة كما قال فيداليس، ولكن علينا أن نواجه هذه الوضعية، ونحن نصل إلى نقطة مهمة. نحن نصل إلى نقطة كيف نواجه ونفاجئ ماذا يمكن أن نقوم. أنا أريد أن أكون هناك صوت كبير، أو أيضا حتى أقول قاتل صار في الباراجوجيتسو، لأن الباراجوجيتسو ما الذي الاتحاد يقوم ويصنع هو أن هناك مساعدة الإنسانية. هذا هو الإرث، ودائما نقول أن هذا الإرث سيساعد الإنسانية إلى الأبد. ولتواجه أيضا هذه الإعاقة لا يهم، ولكن عندما أتذكر كيف أواجه، ولن نتحدث فقط عن الإعاقة ولكن عن العائلة. ولكن في منافساتنا هنا مع اتحاد الإمارات للجوجيتسو نرى العائلات والسعادة، أطفالهم يشاركون في البارا جوجيتسو، ولكن مختلف. ربما بالنسبة للبرازيليين هنا العائلات اكتشفوا أنه اللاعبين الجدد، وأن هناك أيدي قناة جديدة، قناة أبو ظبي الرياضية. وفي البرازيل هناك من البرازيل من ولايتي أيضا، والبرازيليين يقاسمون في أبو ظبي الرياضية، وأن ما تقولونه أنه ينقذ الحياة، وهذا الحديث عنه خاص بالنسبة لنا. هنا نحقق حلما كل الناس هنا، والاتحاد الإمارات للجوجيتسو ساعدنا لذلك، ونحن نثمن كل هذا فعلا، ونتحدث مع كل اللاعبين ونقول كلمة واحدة: نحن نفس الشيء. نحن نشكر جميع الشعب الإماراتي.
ايضا رافائيل، اليوم التواجد في هذه الاجواء الباعثه في السعاده والفرح بتواجد الجميع، اتصور هناك شعور دائما مختلف. ماذا تقول لكل من يتابعنا خاصه من الاهالي في البرازيل وانت تتواجد اليوم في هذا الحدث العالمي؟
أنا سعيد جدا بأن أكون هنا، لأن أمثل فريقي وأمثل عائلتي وأمثل حلمي. هذا الحلم أن أكون هنا، وأنا سعيد جدا في هذه اللحظات.
أيضا تواجدكم في البطولة، نحن دائما في دولة الإمارات نؤكد أنه لا فروقات بين فئات المجتمع، ونحن سعيدين أيضا جدا بوجودكم اليوم معنا في هذه البطولة.
أنا سعيد جدا، لأن مهم بالنسبة لي أن أفوز في أبو ظبي. أنا في بيتي في بلدي، وفي مع فريقي أيضا، لأن أقول أن هناك لدي مشروع في البرازيل، ودرست أيضا هناك، وأنا سعيد جدا، سعيد هذه الفرصة التي نعمل هنا بالجوجيتسو في بلدي، وأنشر أيضا هذه الرياضة في العالم.
سيد رافائيل رودريغيز، أنا أشكرك جزيل الشكر، وأيضا الشكر موصول لك سيرلي لوسيلفا على تواجدك معنا في هذا الاستديو، والجانب الآخر أيضا كليفرز فيديليتس. أنا أشكرك جزيل الشكر. الوقت مر علينا سريعا، لكن أيام البطولة لا زالت مستمرة، وأكيد راح تكون لنا مشاهد قادمة إن شاء الله. شكرا لكم. أما أنتم مشاهدينا الكرام، فقد وصلنا إلى محطة الختام من فقرتنا هذه الحوارية من ليالي الجوجيتسو. الحديث من جديد يتواصل، هذه المرة مع زميل محمد الحوسني، لكن بعد هذا الفاصل.
Então galera, sou o Igor Silva, vim aqui para contar um pouco da minha história. A parte mais difícil de toda a minha carreira foi quando, assim, uma das partes, mas essa daí eu considero muito difícil, quando eu rompi todos os ligamentos praticamente do joelho e tive que reconstruir todo o joelho. E já fazem 2 anos e alguma coisa, 2 anos e meio. E que aí eu tive que buscar um campeão dentro de mim para poder superar isso tudo e conseguir voltar. Então, assim, acho que todos devem sempre buscar o campeão dentro de você, assim como eu busquei o campeão dentro de mim, para poder estar atingindo seus objetivos pessoais e profissionais sempre. Eu quero que você me conte a sua história aí e busque o campeão dentro de você.
في نصف نهائي كأس رئيس الدولة، أقوى الأندية الإماراتية تتواجه. شباب الأهلي دبي والعين على موعد مع الحدث الأبرز. إلى الشحات، والشحات يسجل الثالث. الفريقان يسعيان لمواصلة النتائج الإيجابية والوصول إلى النهائي الأغلى. شباب الأهلي دبي العين مباشرة في هذه الأوقات على أبو ظبي الرياضية. صراع يمتد لأكثر من قرن من الزمن. أكبر الفرق جماهيرية وأكثرها تتويجاً بالألقاب، ومنافسة للتربع على عرش الكرة الإيطالية. يوفنتوس صاحب الألقاب ال12 أمام تحدي تاريخي في الدفاع عن لقبه للعام الثالث على التوالي. أما الميلان صاحب ال5 ألقاب في مهمة ليست بالبسيطة لانتزاع اللقب والظفر بالكأس. قمة تاريخية من قلب الأولمبيكو. نهائي كأس إيطاليا، يوفنتوس ميلان في هذه الأوقات على أبو ظبي الرياضية.
New look, new challenge. Oppa boom boom ستايلك.
المملكة العربية السعودية تدعو العالم لمشاهدة التاريخ مباشرة من مدينة جدة. 7 بطولات شامبيون سيتم الدفاع عنها.
Neither of these superstars is leaving this match without a few scars.
Rest in peace.
أعظم رويال رامبل السعودية 2018 في هذه الأوقات على أبو ظبي الرياضية. جولة لأهم أحداث بطولة أبو ظبي العالمية للجوجيتسو في ساعة يومية نأخذكم فيها إلى كواليس البطولة. لنستعرض أقوى المباريات وأجواء استعداد اللاعبين مع رصد لأجمل اللحظات والعديد من اللقاءات والمقابلات. كواليس الجوجيتسو في هذه الأوقات على أبو ظبي الرياضية.
Hello, Jiu-Jitsu fans all over the world. We are back with our daily show, where we host some of the legends of the sport who happen to be here at the Abu Dhabi World Professional Jiu-Jitsu Championship. We've hosted some of the competitors. We've hosted some of the referees who are refereeing today. But today is a special show. We're going to preview a lot of things, including the King of the Mats. We're going to talk the history of the event with none other than Jiu-Jitsu analyst and commentator, Ricardo Amandoli. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
You've been here since 2010.
Yeah.
We actually met in 2010.
That's right.
Second edition of the World Pro. Let's talk about the World Pro in general. What are your thoughts on this event in general, without speaking about the specifics, because we're going to talk about the specifics later, but we celebrate 10 years now. What are your thoughts on the event overall?
Well, I think when I talk about the World Pro, the first thing I say is it is the largest, toughest professional jiu-jitsu competition in the world, hands down. Has the most competitors. Now with the introduction of the new qualification process with the countries, it makes it really tough. And it's just, you know, looking at it from start till now, it's grown tremendously. so many additional things that have been featured on the tournament. I mean, you know, beautiful studio here, all sorts of different divisions. It just keeps getting better and better every year. It's just an amazing competition, and it truly is a festival. It's not just a tournament. It's not just a one-day or weekend event. It's a 2-week festival here. You see right now it's juveniles, it's packed house here. Just an amazing, it's an experience. You know what I mean? It's an amazing experience. And, you know, if you have not come to Abu Dhabi, you're really missing out. You have to be part of it.
Let's talk about the earlier shows, in specific 2009, the first show. Many people say one of the highlights, or the highlight of that show, was the surprise of Tarsis Humphreys. At the time, I wouldn't say nobody knew who he was. In the jiu-jitsu world, everyone knows who's who. But in terms of the people who participated in this event, like the Marcelo Garcias, the Braulio Estimas, whoever, that win in weight and absolute was shocking to the jiu-jitsu world, especially for an event that happens for the first time. What are your thoughts on that day?
I think that Tarsis winning in 2009 was a reflection of a new era of jiu-jitsu, because the World Pro did something that, you know, no other jiu-jitsu competition has done, with the new rules, prize money, flying out competitors. Obviously, we know the history of the ADCC, but as far as gi jiu-jitsu is concerned, they changed everything. They changed the landscape of professional jiu-jitsu, and, you know, with the new rule set, with the prize money, that year in particular, there were a lot of big upsets and a lot of big names that were made. So at the time, Tarsis was very well known as far as, you know, the guys in the, you know, the international scene, but I don't think he was the favorite to win his division or the absolute. So again, you know, with this rule set, there's a lot of upsets. There's a lot of names that are made here every single year. And it's just, like I said, it's a reflection of the tournament itself. You know, that year, you know, look at Braulio upsetting Fabio Gurgel and Marcelo Garcia. Rodolfo Vieira made his name that year, beating Batista, the big alliance. You know, I believe he's here teaching in Abu Dhabi now. So again, it's just big change in the era of jiu-jitsu in that match, and his win definitely demonstrated that.
And do you attribute that to the rules? Because these guys came in for the first time accustomed to 10 minutes of fighting time, especially at the black belt division. Now they come to Abu Dhabi to fight for cash, and it's for 6 minutes in each fight. So there's extra pressure to perform in a short amount of time. So do you attribute the surprise win of Tarsis to the rules?
I do. I think that, I mean, obviously his technical knowledge and, you know, him as a competitor and as an athlete and all the support of his team had 100% contribution to that too. But I do believe that the rules changed the game. I think 6 minutes, you see a lot of wins that maybe you wouldn't really see in a 10-minute match. You don't, there's a lot of different champions out there, and I think, you know, some of the best matches that you'll see in jiu-jitsu are in the 6 minutes. You look at a guy like Claudio Calazans, he's an absolute beast here, and he's another example. You know, the year later wasn't
let's
really,
talk about that. The year later, another surprise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same thing where, you know, sometimes Calazans in a 10-minute match, not as aggressive because he knows he has more time. 6 minutes. Look what he did in 2010. Beat Braulio Estima twice in the same weekend. Became the, you know, the openweight champion. Again, another, you know, they knew how tough he was, but, you know, no one was really counting on him to win that openweight division. So I think the rules definitely changed the game. It forces more aggressive match. It makes it more exciting for the fans to watch. And, you know, it just, again, it makes a lot of new champions, a lot of big upsets. Just an awesome thing to have.
And what about the cash prize? Because on the other hand, they say, okay, it's 6 minutes, which, I mean, it doesn't guarantee excitement, but at the same time, when you add in cash prizes at the time, and it keeps increasing every year, people or fighters in general are more hesitant because there's a lot on the line. How do you see, you know, with the organizers, they have the pressure of having to make the fight exciting. At the same time, you have the athletes who are wary about going full out and performing, you know, as hard as possible because there's so much on the line.
Yeah.
How do you, you know, make up for both these?
I think that there's a flip side to that coin. I think sometimes the cash motivates people, especially this year. You know, look at the King of the Mats where they're giving out bonuses for, you know, best submission and so forth. I think the cash sometimes can motivate the competitors to really go out there, for the kill, and sometimes makes them a little cautious. So it really depends on what which competitor we're talking about, but there's definitely both ends to that aspect for sure.
And when it comes to, you've attended in 2010, you've seen the evolution of the Jiu-Jitsu program in the UAE, right? What are your thoughts on the Jiu-Jitsu program now? At the time, I believe there was no more than 50, 60 Emirati competitors at the event. Now we're talking about thousands. You've seen the first generation, let's say. Some of the guys that you're going to see on the black belt division, such as Faisal, Talib, and all these guys. You've seen them at the World Pro. What are your thoughts on the school jiu-jitsu program as an outsider looking in?
Well, I think one of the best examples was last year. Faisal went to the finals against the Calazans. Very tough match. Fought well. Didn't get submitted really quick, which Calazans can do. We saw here a couple years before, a year previous to that, Calazans submitting Homo Bahal with a knee bar. Faisal gave him a tough match. And when I speak on that, I'm referring to, look at Faisal. The first year I came here, I believe he was a white belt or blue belt at the time. And now black belt, competing at the highest level, very successful, doing very well, and going toe-to-toe with one of the best in the world. So that is a true reflection of the teaching here, the programs that's set up here in the UAE Jiu-Jitsu Federation. And just obviously the proof is in the pudding, as they say. And they're doing a great job producing a lot of tough competitors. And Faisal is just one of many of the Emirati competitors that are doing well internationally, not just in the UAE circuit, but other circuits as well.
Now let's talk about other things that differentiate this event from other events. Let's talk about the qualifiers. Me and you have talked about this a lot, but with the qualifiers, we began again with around maybe 10, even less qualifiers or trials at the time in 2009. Now we're talking about more than 40, 46 probably around the world. How do you see that as a competitive advantage for the Abu Dhabi World Professional Jiu-Jitsu Championship compared to other organizations?
Well, I think, in order for Jiu-Jitsu to get recognized as a serious and, mainstream sport, whenever you throw the word World Championship around, World Professional Jiu-Jitsu Championship, people are going to ask, did you compete? How did you qualify? It's a very, it's a very easy question to come up with right away whenever you mention the World Championship. So I think the initiative that they took to have qualifiers, making you get at the top of your ranking and all sorts of things like that, it just, again, differentiates them and, puts them a little closer to the Olympic Games and so forth. Just kind of on the same level as all the other international sports. We can name judo and all these other amazing sports that they have the same process, qualifiers worldwide. And then when you speak about qualifiers, you have the country qualifiers here as well. Making it so that it's not stacked with, and no disrespect, but we don't want to see, 4 Brazilians on the podium. Having 4 competitors, different countries, it's a beautiful thing. It's getting closer to that Olympic dream. At least we're making the effort here. So I think people are respecting that, and in some ways fearing it, because it makes it a lot more challenging for the competitors. You look at the 85 kilo division in the World Pro this weekend, stacked.
It is one of the most stacked, for sure.
That's the group of death there, we're calling it. In the qualifiers for Brazil, so many good competitors. So again, it's pushing it towards, the right way to do things as far as World Championship, 1, but 2, again, making it that much more tougher, and obviously with the prize money, it substantiates for the competitors as well. So the prize money is going up as well as the challenge. So it's just an amazing thing.
You mentioned, in addition to qualifying to this event, there are actually country qualifiers that happen at the same time in order to limit each country of having no more than 2 participants in each division. That's another thing that the UAE JJF implemented since the last edition in 2017. Talk to me about the importance of that. You already touched upon it, of having a podium with different countries, but with two participants for each country, especially for Brazil, in each division. Does that, compromise the quality of the event in your mind, of the bracket?
I don't think it compromises the quality. I think it assures the quality. It assures that, the true best are going to win. It eliminates teams from, strategically doing things in the bracket, which is unfortunately part of the culture of jiu-jitsu, but it is what it is. It's also one of the nice things that separates it from wrestling and other sports. So there's a little bit of a flip side to that, but I don't think it jeopardizes the quality. I think it, you know, if there is, it shows who the true best of the best, not who can make it to the tournament. It's whoever won the qualifier. It's the most fair thing in the world for any sport competition, I believe. So I think it's the right way to do it. And, you know, maybe some of the stars aren't here that normally would be, maybe just because it's a little more challenging for them. They acknowledge that. But, again, you know, new stars born every year, big upsets every year. So it's a good thing.
And in terms of you following this event, if I know you're going to answer this question because some of the guys refuse to answer this question. Not all of them, but Henzo definitely, and maybe Zimario. But in your mind, who represents the World Pro as an athlete the past 10 years? Who is the guy that you see, I'm not going to say owned the event, but certainly is the face of this event after 10 years?
I mean,
10 editions.
I would say two people. I would say Faisal, you know, as an Emirati, as an example of somebody that's gone from, you know, blue to black, competing at the highest level and achieving success. And then somebody like Claudio Calazans, who's been here since day one, competing every year, high level, successful every year. Some, you know, maybe 1 or 2 years he didn't win, but multiple-time World Pro champion. I definitely think that those two are the biggest examples of, you know, they're the faces I feel for World Pro for sure.
I like that choice because usually you expect someone to say Rodolfo or Buchecha, but Calazans certainly deserves some respect for being at, I think, every single event, maybe 1 or 2, but he's been there. He's actually the closest to break Buchecha and Rodolfo's record in terms of gold medals. So I like that. It's a very interesting choice.
It's true, though. He has been here. He's still here. You know, I think others have come and now gone and moved on to other things, other sports. Mixed martial arts, you mentioned Rodolfo, just, you know, sticking with mixed martial arts now. But Calazans is still here. You know, he was here in 2009. He didn't really have the success he had in 2010, but I think that was the breaking point in his career. And after that, he became, you know, who he is one of the best competitors of all time, for sure.
What about the females?
I mean, I think at this point, I think Bia Mesquita, I think, you know, she was also here in 2010 when I was here as a brown belt. And she won that year, and she's still here. She's still winning year after year. She's still here. There was other girls, but obviously with the change in the divisions, you know, some things change. But when I look at competitors that have been there from the beginning till now, in my opinion, Bia, she's the person. She's the one for sure.
What about your favorite fight in the history of the World Pro?
I mean, I think being there, there's so many. I think for me personally, you know, seeing Calazans and Braulio, that was exciting because of, you know, the fact that we knew Calazans was tough, but we didn't think that was going to happen. And that was for, you know, at the time, the open weight title was the thing, you know. So I think for me, that was definitely one of the most memorable, I think, for sure. I think also, I look at the upsets, and I think that's what makes more memories for me. And when Erberth defeated Felipe Pena here, that was big.
That's the 7 points, like flipped seconds that got him the 7 points.
Yeah,
that,
you know, Felipe pulled guard, and I call it a guard pull interception. And Erberth quickly passed to mounted and, you know, was able to dominate from there. And again, you know, that's one of those things where you're watching and you're like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe this, you know, because normally Pena would always defeat Erberth. But again, I don't know if it's the air in Abu Dhabi. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the amazing food, but some of these guys are just flipping things when they get here. So
it's very interesting too that you mentioned that, because Felipe loses his weight division, but then goes on to win the absolute. Same thing happened at the ADCC.
Yes.
Yeah. He lost his weight division, but then won the big one.
Yep.
He's also one of the guys that's very interesting to me. Talk about that last absolute or open weight match in the history of the World Pro. That was in 2016. How significant it is. I mean, there was quite a buzz with the UAE JGF going away with the open weight.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most exciting divisions, but they have a point. They said that looking at the statistics of the winners of the open weight throughout the years, it's usually light heavy to heavy. Maybe Tarsis and Calazans at the time were out of the box, but talk to me about that logic.
I see both sides of it. I think that it's always exciting for me to see open weight matches. I remember in 2010 looking at a guy like Rafa Mendes going against Big Mac. It's exciting. But in reality, speaking with some of the organizers here, another perspective that they gave me was, if you look at the UFC, there's no open weight champions.
True.
And why is it that...
Or any other Olympic sport for that.
Exactly. Why is it that, Paulo Miao is not recognized the same as, let's say, Buchecha or whoever the open weight champion would be, when he really deserves it, when we know that he probably cannot beat Buchecha? It's just, it's just not going to happen. But if we always kind of put the one on a pedestal, it kind of depreciates a little bit the other one. So again, the UAE is on the forefront of doing new things. Going a little bit away from the culture of jiu-jitsu, but I think it's a positive thing. And I think that was one for sure.
And the money, obviously, from the open weight distributes to the other divisions. So Exactly. It's a win-win for these guys as well. I guess it's time that we can talk about the king of the mats.
Yes.
Every year there is something new that the UAE JGF implements. It was the Legends division for 2 years, which were fun. And I believe, I'm not sure that they're going to be part of the Grand Slam. Actually, before we start the King of the Mats, let's talk about the Grand Slam events.
Yeah.
The circuit, right? 2 years, 2 seasons of, is it 2 or 3 seasons? I lost track. Is it 2 seasons of the UAE? 3 seasons.
3 seasons. It started mid-year, so it's like...
Of the UAE JGF Grand Slam circuit. Talk to me about the importance of having a world pro level event that's held outside of Abu Dhabi.
I think it's amazing. I know for myself, having commentated in Rio a few times, some of the countries don't get big professional jiu-jitsu competitions. So you look at Brazil, a lot of the competitors there will never have the chance to fly even just to the US, let alone Abu Dhabi. So for them to have a major competition where there's cash prizes, it's amazing for them. So I like that aspect of it, having experienced a lot of the culture in Brazil. And I just think that it sort of continues to separate them, what the UAE is doing from other organizations. It shows a different level of standard. So I think it's an amazing thing. And, you see awesome matches at the Grand Slam. And, as a competitor, it makes no sense why you wouldn't do Grand Slams, World Pro, all you could. And you and I were chatting about this. Technically, if you were the Grand Slam champions, you became the #1 in the ranking and you came to King of Mats and you won everything. At the end of the day, that's almost $100,000. It's a lot of competitions, but maybe it's like six events, but that's a lot of money. So it's well worth it. And, going back to the Grand Slam, awesome events. Like you said, it's basically the World Pro in a little bit smaller version, but in each different countries. And we get to see each country kind of put a little demonstration or something from the countries. Like the Samba squad came in Rio, and they had the drums in Tokyo and stuff like that. So I think it's an amazing addition to the circuit that the UAE has.
Okay, now going back to the King of the Mats, we promised that we'll discuss these divisions: lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight. 3 divisions with, let's talk about the lightweight division, which has 10 participants. Samuel Cancarino, 2012 World Pro Champion. Do you know anything about him?
I don't know too much about him, but I watched him.
Guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I watched him in the 2012 World Championships, and amazing competitor. I know he's been in the UAE for quite a while. So, he's definitely acclimated, and he's home turf, so he definitely has a little bit of an advantage coming in here.
Thiago Barreto Marquez, who's also one of the, one of the good guys, 2013 World Pro Champion. He won last year. Actually, the last 3 years, he's been dominating the Master 1 69 kilogram division. and he's also going to compete this year. Any idea about Thiago Barreto? He was a checkmat guy before he came and lived here.
Yeah, that's the one guy in the division that I'm a little gray on.
I think you should watch. I think you should watch him closely. He's
well, you know, we have some good archives that we can take advantage of. So I'm gonna go check it out definitely before tomorrow.
Yeah, we have Thiago Bravo as well. He was a finalist last year. Fought Gianni Grippo in the final. Thiago George. He basically won every Grand Slam. No, yeah, he's been doing a lot of. He won in Abu Dhabi, London, Rio, and he's a Cicero Costa guy.
Yeah, so you know we're going to see some De La Riva, Berimbolo, but you know, I've seen a lot of his matches. Very exciting, very aggressive, modern jiu-jitsu player for sure.
Leonardo Sajoro, did I pronounce it right?
Sajoro, yeah, his nickname is Cascao.
Okay, World Pro Champion 2014.
Yes, very tough. Really, he's definitely a favor in the bracket. I'll say it right now.
Gianni Grippo, two-time Abu Dhabi World Pro Champion. Let's talk about Gianni Grippo, because this guy also deserves some respect.
Absolutely.
He's the first non-Brazilian to win a gold medal in the World Pro. Just so the jiu-jitsu nerds don't get at me, true. Rafael Lovato Jr. won the first gold medal. It was at the no-gi in 2011. But we're talking about the gi here and the actual World Pro event. So Gianni Grippo is the first guy that's non-Brazilian to be at the top of the podium. Talk to me about Gianni.
Johnny he's just you know, truly one of the best American competitors of all time. He's always here, two-time World Pro champ, competes in the Grand Slams as well. He's just one of those guys that really took the modern jiu-jitsu game to another level, trains at one of the best teams in the world. And, you know, again, we talk about the difference of, you know, the culture of jiu-jitsu. He's a prime example. Johnny going into World Championships has even had to bow out to teammates in the finals. Here,
he doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to worry about that. It's whoever is the best guy, not whoever the best in the team decides. Whoever the true best in the bracket will win that day. So it's another great example of the changes made for the World Pro.
Celso Vinicius, also a regular in the World Pro.
Yes.
He competed in the earlier years for sure.
Yeah, 2010, 2011, I believe. I know he was silver in 2011. 2010, he had some tough matches.
Yeah, he fought Calazans in 2011, right?
Yeah, yeah. So he's another guy that, like, if I had my four picks, my four dark horses, Thiago George, Gianni Grippo, Leo Sajoro, and Celso Vinicius, those are my guys to watch. No disrespect to everyone else, but those are my, it's probably going to get down to two of those guys in the finals.
You have Jose Lima. He won every single Grand Slam this year. LA, he didn't compete in Tokyo, sorry. LA, Rio, Abu Dhabi, London. It's kind of almost a clean sweep there.
Yeah.
Isaac Paiva, also a regular, I believe, in past events.
And he had amazing matches here last year. I saw him compete in Rio as well at the Grand Slam there. Very tough competitor, very fast, very athletic.
And the last but not least, arguably, I think he's the only Asian representative in the King of the Mats in all divisions. Wang Ki-chae. He won in Tokyo. So I don't know if we could say he's a dark horse of the division. Let's look at the actual brackets here. It's separated into two groups, right? First group, Samuel Cancarino, Jose Lima, Isaac Paiva, Thiago George, and Leonardo Sagioro. I'm butchering his name, I think.
Say Cascao.
Cascao, okay. So Cascao, Thiago George, Isaac Paiva, Jose Lima, and Samuel Cancarino. Who do you think tops that group? You were high on Cascao?
Yeah, I'm definitely high on Cascao there.
Cascao and Thiago George is going to be an interesting battle, right?
Yeah, and it's round robin, so we're going to see everyone fight everyone. But those are my, for sure.
Group B has Celso Vinicius, Gianni Grippo, Thiago Bravo, Thiago Barreto, and Wang Ki-chae. That's a tough one too. It's interesting because the two non-Brazilians are in the same group.
Yeah.
The Korean and the American.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think Celso will give a lot of problems to everyone except Gianni Grippo. Why I say that is because Johnny is a student of the game and trains with guys specific in Celso's strong game, which is the deep half guard game.
Does he train with Cobrinha now? Agripa?
No, Marcelo's.
Okay.
So, you know, Bernardo Faria, a lot of other guys, really, really good half guards there, the instructor Paul Schreiner. So I think that Johnny is going to have the experience. So I look to him as one of the guys to, you know, be able to make it tough for Celso.
This is a lightweight is always interesting.
Yes.
Let's move on to middleweight now. We talked about the middleweight division in the World Pro as being the group of death. The middleweight division in the King of the Mats has the first ever World Pro champion. We talked about him, Tarsis Humphreys. He's in there. Roberto Satoshi is in there. Satoshi won in 2012 and 2014. 2012 was actually a surprise.
Yeah.
He beat people like Davi Ramos, and I can't remember, but at the time it was a shocking result. Of course, he owns the Tokyo Grand Slam. Every time Abu Dhabi goes to Tokyo, he wins that division. We have Charles Santos. We've seen him at the Grand Slam level. He's one of the top guys, I feel, this season. Charles Santos, Roger Gracie Academy. Tanner Rice. What can you tell us about Tanner Rice?
Tanner, you know, he qualified because he was a Los Angeles Grand Slam champion, I believe, in 2015. And Tanner is one of those guys, American, trained in Brazil over the years, got his black belt from Cobrinha, now trains with Soul Fighters. And the thing with Tanner is he's really good, but in the last few years, it's like a new Tanner Rice is coming out. He's done some amazing things at the highest level, and I think he's going to be one of the toughest in that group for sure.
Jamie Canuto is in there. Andre Galvao. You know Andre Galvao pretty well. He followed his career.
Yeah.
You're an Atos guy, I think, right? So what can you tell us about Andre this year?
Just, you know, Andre has been reserving himself a little bit this year, and I think he's investing everything towards this King of Mats. You know, kind of made some big decisions in his coaching and competition career lately. So, yeah, like I said, this is one of the first tournaments he's competed in a little while, but truly one of the greatest grapplers of all time, hands down. You know, multiple-time ADCC champion, Superfight champion, World Pro champion. He's won every single tournament there is, multiple times. So he's definitely, you know, without my bias to being a teammate, you could obviously say that he's one of the favorites in this group for sure.
And someone familiar with Andre throughout the years is in there, Clark Gracie.
Yep.
From the Clark Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Academy. He won in Tokyo, that's why he's here. And Renato Canuto. I believe he competed a few days ago, right? Renato, is it Renato or Jamie that competed in Marianas, or at New York?
No, Renato did in Marianas, yeah.
And in New York as well, right?
Maybe not New York, but he competed in, Kasai last weekend, yeah. Renato is, all I can say is get ready for excitement. He'll go for flying, everything, arm locks, triangles, just exciting, you know, guard passing, very exciting. So what I like about this division is you have a lot of diverse weights, you know, speeds, and skill. So I really think that this group is going to be really exciting for that reason. It's not a group of guys at 185 pounds that, you know, have fought each other multiple times. A lot of these people have not faced each other either in a long time or at all. So I think it's going to be very exciting to watch.
Let's look at those dynamics. In Group A, we have Andre Galvao, Tanner Rice, Jamie Canuto, and Charles Santos. Any predictions in that group?
Well, I mean, again, you know, Galvao has to be the favorite in the group. Canuto has been competing a lot, and especially in the circuit here, a lot of the Grand Slams, very slick, very technical. I can't wait to see what happens between him and Tanner Rice. I think that that's going to be a really interesting matchup.
He has to be the favorite, right, Galvao, because he's the only World Pro champion out of that bunch. And,
and Charles is really tough. Really good half guard, you know,
he's the only guy that beat Isaac Bayen's.
That's it.
Was it in Abu Dhabi this year? The first in January, in the Grand Slam. That was one of the shockers of
he trains with Roger Gracie, you know, and so he knows how to slow down a fast-paced passer and implement his game. And, you know, much like Roger always did back in the day.
It's going to be interesting even watching them in the weight division, right? At the World Pro, and with Isaac and Charles potentially fighting again. The other group has Satoshi, Renato Canuto, Tarsis, and Clark Gracie. What do you think about that? It's wide open.
I think Tarsus, in my opinion, he has the experience, you know, and that's a big factor. The other guys are all very fast, and it's going to be interesting. I want to see how Clark and Tarsus match up. You know, very, very contrasting styles.
That's actually the first fight for both.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You know, Clark. Actually, it's funny because they both live in San Diego now. But Tarsus, the one thing that I can see, you know, I really like to evaluate where the people are training and who they're training with to make any sort of predictions. And Tarsus has been traveling a lot, but has the experience at the highest level. So it's going to be very interesting.
When did Tarsus, I mean, is he active in the jiu-jitsu scene? I haven't seen him fight in a while, to be honest.
Yeah, he kind of picks and chooses his event. You know, he had a big win over Leandro Lowe last year. You know, this year I think he's been a little bit, you know, more relaxed as far as competitions. But he once in a while he comes out and, you know, shakes the dust, the cobwebs out, and, you know, still competes. He's still out there.
It's going to be a nice story if he gets to be there. That's, I mean.
Well, I think, one, if he wins, Tarsus wins his group and goes against Calvo. The reason I really want to see that just as a fan is
never happened before?
It's happened, but it hasn't happened in almost 10 years.
Okay.
And what happened was they used to compete all the time at all the major events as black belts, even at brown belt. They were always competing. Calvo won the majority of times, and, you know, Tarsus was always getting a little closer. So, you know, like I said, they haven't competed in a long time. Be interesting to see what has changed in both their games and how they're going to face each other this time. And, you know, I think Calvo has that experience still. I mean, not the experience, but I think, you know, having that mental advantage of, you know, beating him so many times, I think that it's safe to say that he could win again.
And I'm pumped for that now. Heavyweight, last but not least, Lucio Lagarto is back.
Yes.
He's a two-time World Pro Champion, 2010-2011. Antonio Braga Neto, also 2013 champion. Alexander Trans. Everyone remembers him in 2015, the finalist against Buchecha at the open weight, and one of the top European athlete or competitors of all time. Alexandre Souza, 2009, one of the earlier originals, let's say. Cyborg, this is actually Cyborg's biggest chance to get something out of the World Pro.
Yeah.
He competed several times, but didn't medal in any event, I think. What do you think of his chances in this one? We'll talk more about the groups, but in general.
Cyborg's one of those guys that I think could do very well in 6 minutes. He really plays like a beautiful open game. He's a bigger guy. You know, he's big, bulky guy. He's one of the guys on our team said he's got veins on his biceps that look like garden hoses. But yeah, he's a really strong guy, and you see a lot of that, you know, strength and excitement in his matches. The thing with him is, I remember a few years ago he fought Trans, and Trans shut him down. Trans went to his kind of modified half guard and shut Cyborg down, really frustrated him. But I believe they're on opposite groups now. So I feel that we could end up seeing a rematch there. It'll be interesting because we haven't seen Trans compete in a little while.
That's true.
So that could be, the dynamic could have shifted a little bit. It makes it an interesting matchup for sure.
One of the guys that honestly impressed me this season is Gerard Lubinski. He's also in there, a guy from Poland. He won the Grand Slam in Rio, which is the toughest Grand Slam out there. Andre Campos is there. Helton Silva Jr. is there, the guy that beat Adam Wardzinski also in Abu Dhabi. Kind of an upset. I'm not sure if it's really an upset, but let's look at the groups now. Group A has Antonio Braga Neto, Gerard Lubinski, Trans, and Helton Jr. What do you like in that one?
I gotta say Trans. You know, Braga Neto, in his day, you know, best in the world, World Pro Champion.
Finalist several times.
But he's taking a little break. He's been inactive to mixed martial arts and just in general. So I think that's gonna, you know, it's gonna be tough for him to compete against a guy like Trans. And it's very stylistically very different. I would say he has more of like the fundamental jiu-jitsu, Raganeto, takedown, passing, mount, back, submission, whereas Strands will probably, you know, maybe go for takedown, but look to pull half guard. He has an awesome half guard game, and then kind of repeat the similar process, but starting from a different point. So I would have to say Strands is the favorite in that group for sure.
Group B has Lagarto, Alexandre Souza, Cyborg, and Andre Campos. What do you think about that?
The three names that stick out, Lagarto, Andre Campos, and Cyborg. Andre Campos, I've been watching him here, just awesome. You know, really good half guard. But I think when I look at the competitors as far as, you know, well-roundedness, Cyborg and Lagarto kind of stick out. And I think that it will be one of those two to kind of win the group for sure.
And Cyborg kind of has Andre's number as well.
Yeah.
In Los Angeles, okay, it's a few years ago, he beat him in the semifinals of the weight division, I think, or quarterfinals of the weight division, and he beat him in the final of the open weight division. That's why Cyborg is here, actually.
Yeah.
How do you think that plays out? The face-to-face matches, or you know, the historical, let's say, matches between two competitors in the King of the Mats. How does that play in the psyche of the competitor? You mentioned Tarsis and Andre.
Yeah.
What about, you know, in general, like Cyborg and Andre Campos at a more recent time?
Well, there's three sides to that story, right? Cyborg can come in and just be like, oh, I already beat this guy, take it easy. But Andre Campos could have a fire under his butt because of that and want vengeance. So, you know, or the third is that they know each other's game and they could just shut it down because of the experience.
Not to mention he's one of the local coaches here.
Exactly.
So that also plays. You mentioned Samuel Cancarino, Tiago Abajeto, Andre Campos. There are some guys that live here and want to keep that crown here.
Extra motivation, for sure.
So, who are going to be the three kings of the mat? Just let's say it now.
I hope I don't get anyone offended or mad at me. I'm gonna get some messages after this. But if I had to make my predictions, I would say Grippo, Galvão, Trans.
Wow, Trans, huh?
Yeah, I think he's got the tools. I think that he can shut down a lot of the open games of the other people, mostly everyone in his group and the opposite group. He's got a lot of experience at the highest level too. He's been training in Brazil with some of the best guys at GF teams, so I'd have to say those three.
I like that, actually, to have a European at the top of the podium. It kind of, you know, it's
American, Brazilian, and a European potentially.
That's an ideal list right there.
And then, you know, we got...
Nobody gets upset. Everyone gets a prize or a crown, so to speak.
And then there's also the two prizes for best submission.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So you have 30,000 for the winner, potentially 5 for the best match, and 5 for the best submission. That's 40,000 you could go home to.
Yep.
You know, and you have someone like Johnny Grippo saying he is yet to spend the money he won last year.
Oh,
so imagine $40,000.
Yeah.
And that's not even mentioning the 15 he could potentially win in the World Pro, and he's certainly the favorite to win it, to defend the title.
That's, you know, that's
crazy.
That's a down payment on an academy. If you really think of it, a guy like Johnny Grippo, who, you know, a young kid, black belt world champion, but eventually will want to do his own thing. You know, winning $40,000, if he hasn't spent the money from last year, puts that in the bank, and, you know, that could change his life. That sets him up for a future in his life. So it truly is extra motivation, as we mentioned before, and could really, you know, can really make things interesting, a little more aggressive, especially if they know there's additional prize money for best submission and best match. That's a lot of money, you know, and then if they add the World Pro money to that in their division, wow, that's a life changer for some people for sure.
A few surprises also before we wrap up here. A few surprises in this year's World Pro. At the Master 2 division, we have names such as Vitor Shaolin, who signed up. We have people like Megaton, who signed up. I don't know if they're coming, but they are signed up.
Shaolin is coming. He messaged me today. And I checked it. I was like, because
Megaton was competing in Denver, so I don't know if he's going to make it, but his name is there.
And you know, Shaolin was here last year, had the Legends Super fight with
He's
Kenny
the only
Ford.
guy to finish both his Legends fights 2 years in a row.
Yep. And the rumor is he has a big one coming up in Japan.
Let's say Aoki. probably Shinya Aoki. That's
awesome.
What I would like to see.
Yeah.
Any last messages you would like to leave us before we start the craziness of the Abu Dhabi World Professional Jiu-Jitsu?
The 5 days of commentating that it's going to be, my voice is going to be gone. You know, I think the message that I have is just, you know, I'm very thankful to, you know, the UAE in general, the United Arab Emirates Jiu-Jitsu Federation, and just, you know, everything that this country, that they're doing for the sport, and the UAE JJF and what they're doing is just amazing. Again, it's such an amazing experience to be here. Everyone's super friendly. You know, it's awesome to see so many different cultures here, all for one flag, you know, and I love that about the World Pro experience, and it's just amazing. I definitely recommend any competitor, fan, parent, you know, we have the kids competing today. I see parents that I've recognized from the U.S. and abroad, you know, they're here. It's just an awesome, it truly is, you know, a world championship. And I think it's something that, you know, it's really turned a page in the history book of jiu-jitsu and will continue to do so. I can't wait to see 10 years from now what's going to happen. I mean, what is there going to be? There's going to be lasers, light show or something. I don't know what else could happen because, you know, like we said earlier, from 2010 when I first came outdoor arena, it was still, that was like, oh my gosh, this is the biggest thing in jiu-jitsu, to now, which is even bigger, just so much more bigger. What will it be like in 10 years? And the one thing I do know is it's going to be awesome for jiu-jitsu culture and jiu-jitsu scene, and it's a good thing. So I think my thank you to, you know, everyone for contributing to the sport, for me to be here, for me to be on the show with you. It's just an amazing thing. I never would have thought this 10 years ago, you know, and then it's just awesome. So big thank you to everyone.
Thank you for being on the show, and as they say, let the action begin. Starting tomorrow, we're both going to be doing commentary duties, and we look forward to it. I'm going to be looking forward to the King of the Mats and everything we spoke about, trying to look at everyone's game and who wins at the end. Let's see if the predictions end up being correct.
We got to make a wager on the predictions. We'll do that after the show.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, Jiu-Jitsu fans, I mean, all I can say is stay tuned to tomorrow night, King of the Mats. It's one of the highlights, if not the highlight, of this year's event. Big names to come up tomorrow night. Stay tuned for that. Until next time, thank you.